Imagine a place so isolated, so protected, that if you try to visit it, you could be arrested. Not because it's a military base, not because it holds dangerous secrets, but because the people living there want absolutely nothing to do with the modern world. No internet, no phones, no electricity, no governments, no cities, no roads. And anyone who attempts to make contact risks triggering a tragedy that could wipe out an entire people. Yet, despite the warnings, despite the laws, despite the danger, some still try, and a few never come back. There is an island in the Indian Ocean that has become one of the most mysterious places on Earth. A place visible on maps, yet almost completely inaccessible. A place where time seems to have stopped thousands of years ago. A place that governments around the world agree should be left alone. But why? What could make an island so dangerous that even trained officials keep their distance? And what happens when someone ignores the warnings? The answer is far stranger and far more human than most people realize. Welcome to Obscura TV. Today, we're exploring one of the most forbidden places on Earth. A tiny island surrounded by turquoise water, white beaches, and dense tropical forest. At first glance, it looks like paradise. But appearances can be deceiving, because hidden beneath that beautiful coastline is a story of survival, isolation, and one of the last truly uncontacted societies on the planet. This is the story of North Sentinel Island, and why no government will let you visit. North Sentinel Island lies in the Bay of Bengal, part of India's Andaman Islands archipelago. On a map, it looks insignificant, just a small green patch surrounded by endless blue ocean. But this tiny island is home to one of the most isolated human communities on Earth, the Sentinelese. No one knows exactly how many people live there. Estimates range from a few dozen to a few hundred. No official census has ever been conducted. No one has been welcomed onto the island. And, perhaps most remarkably, the Sentinelese have survived for thousands of years without becoming part of the modern world. Think about that for a moment. Empires rose and fell. The pyramids were built. The Roman Empire expanded across continents. The Industrial Revolution transformed civilization. The Internet connected billions of people. And through all of it, the Sentinelese remained apart. While the rest of humanity changed beyond recognition, they continued living a modern civilization. And then, nature delivered an event that stunned the entire world. On December 26, 2004, a massive earthquake struck beneath the Indian Ocean. The resulting tsunami became one of the deadliest natural disasters in recorded history. Entire communities were destroyed. Hundreds of thousands of people lost their lives. Coastal regions across multiple countries were devastated. As reports flooded in, a new concern emerged. What about North Sentinel Island? The island sat directly within the affected region. Many feared the Sentinelese had been wiped out. Communication was impossible. No phones, no radios, no contact, no way of knowing. Days later, Indian authorities dispatched a helicopter to investigate. What happened next became one of the most remarkable moments in the island's modern history. As the helicopter approached the shoreline, officials searched desperately for signs of life. The beaches appeared empty. The forest stood silent. Then, suddenly, movement. A figure emerged from the trees, then another, and another. The Sentinelese were alive. Not only alive, defiant. One islander stepped forward, raised a bow, and aimed directly at the helicopter. The message was unmistakable. "We survived. Now leave." The image became famous around the world.
While modern technology struggled to assess the damage, a community with no satellites, no warning systems, and no advanced infrastructure had endured one of the most powerful natural disasters in human history. How? Nobody knows for certain, but researchers have proposed fascinating possibilities. Some believe the Sentinelese possessed generations of environmental knowledge passed down through oral tradition, knowledge of ocean behavior, knowledge of animals, knowledge of subtle changes in nature that modern people often overlook. Perhaps they recognized warning signs long before the tsunami arrived. Perhaps they moved to higher ground. Perhaps survival wasn't luck at all, but accumulated wisdom, thousands of years of experience living in harmony with their environment. The idea is both fascinating and humbling because it challenges a common assumption that technological advancement always equals greater understanding. Sometimes knowledge takes different forms, and sometimes the people we consider isolated may understand aspects of nature far better than we do. Yet despite these moments of wonder, the mystery surrounding North Sentinel Island only deepened. Satellite images revealed little. The dense forest concealed almost everything. Researchers could observe the coastline, they could study the geography, but life within the island remained largely hidden. Nobody knew how the Sentinelese organized their society. Nobody knew their language. Nobody knew their beliefs. Nobody knew their stories. Imagine that, in an age where billions of people share their lives online every day, an entire community exists beyond the reach of global communication. Their celebrations remain unknown. Their traditions remain unknown. Their history remains unknown. It is one of the last true blank spaces in humanity's cultural map. And perhaps that's exactly why the world remains so fascinated, because mystery has become rare. Almost every mountain has been climbed, almost every coastline has been mapped, almost every corner of the world has been photographed. Yet North Sentinel Island continues to resist understanding. It refuses to reveal itself. And then, in 2018, a single decision would place the island back into international headlines. A decision made by one man, a decision driven by conviction, a decision that would end in tragedy and force the world to confront a difficult question. When curiosity collides with isolation, who has the right to cross the line? The answer would become one of the most controversial stories ever connected to North Sentinel Island.
Sentinel Island became the center of global attention once again. But this time, it wasn't scientists or government officials approaching its shores. It was a single man. John Allen Chau was a 26-year-old American missionary. He had a belief that would drive him further than most people could imagine. He believed he was meant to bring his message to the Sentinelese people. Despite strict warnings from authorities, despite legal restrictions, despite the clear danger, he made a decision. He would go to the island, alone. What makes this story so unsettling is not just the journey itself, but how carefully it was planned. Chau made multiple attempts to reach the island. He hired local fishermen. He studied tides. He prepared notes written in English and simple drawings. He even attempted to approach the island covertly at night. Each time he was forced to retreat. The island rejected him repeatedly, but he kept returning. On his final attempt, he set out alone in a small kayak. No escort, no official permission, just determination and isolation. As he approached North Sentinel Island, the ocean grew darker. The shoreline slowly emerged from the horizon. dense green forest, white sand beaches, and silence. According to accounts from fishermen who witnessed the final approach, arrows were fired from the shore. Warnings, clear and immediate. The same message the island had given for generations. Do not come closer. But Chau continued forward. He reached the shore. What exactly happened next is not fully known. The island remains silent. There are no recordings, no confirmations from inside. Only what was observed from a distance. Fishermen reported seeing him return briefly to his kayak, then approach the shore again, and then he disappeared into the trees. That was the last confirmed sighting. Days passed, then weeks. No response came from the island. Eventually, authorities called off recovery efforts. The island was declared off-limits once again. A death certificate was issued, and the world reacted. Some saw Chau as courageous, a man driven by faith and conviction. Others saw his actions as reckless, a dangerous violation of an isolated people's right to remain undisturbed. The debate became global, because this story was no longer just about one man. It was about something much larger. The limits of exploration, the ethics of contact, and the question of whether some places should remain untouched forever. Anthropologists pointed out a critical concern. The Sentinelese had survived for thousands of years without immunity to modern diseases. Even a simple illness could devastate the entire population. This was not speculation. It was historical precedent repeated across continents. Entire communities had been erased after first contact events. Not through violence, but through biology. This is why governments maintain strict protection zones around the island, not to hide it, but to protect it. But the story also raises another question. If a people choose complete isolation, should that choice be absolute? Or does humanity have a responsibility to engage? There are no simple answers, only tension, only perspective, only uncertainty. Today, North Sentinel Island remains one of the most strictly protected places on Earth. A legal exclusion zone surrounds it. No one is allowed to approach, not tourists, not journalists, not researchers. Even passing too close can result in arrest. Satellite images continue to show a green island surrounded by endless blue sea. No roads, no ports, no development, just forest and mystery. And a society that continues to live outside the modern world, completely unchanged, completely unreachable, and completely independent. Which leads to the final reflection. In a world where almost everything is connected, where information travels instantly, where privacy is disappearing, North Sentinel Island stands as something rare, a place that refuses to be known, a place that does not want attention, a place that does not want visitors. And perhaps the most important question is not about the island itself, but about us. Why are we so fascinated by what remains hidden? Why does mystery pull us in so strongly? And should every unknown place eventually be discovered? Or is there value in leaving some parts of the world untouched forever? North Sentinel Island does not answer these questions. It simply exists, silent, protected, and watching the horizon, as it has for thousands of years.